Testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you can hear me. All right, everybody. Happy Monday. Man up Monday. Um, okay, so the judge was backstage. I don't know if you can hear me, Judge, but I see nothing but black, honey. So I think you need to go out and come back in because I'm not starting off this show with no type of technical issues. Get it together, get situated. Let me do my monologue before I bring you up. So, guys, hi. Good. We're gonna have a good show, big show. Lots to talk about. Government shutdown. Technically, it's still shut down. The Senate came to a partial agreement. They're voting on the partial agreement to the bill tonight. And they're saying hopefully by the end of the week, the government should be open. And there are a lot of Democrats that are upset. So what? Thanksgiving's around the corner. People already bought their plane tickets to fly, but a lot of airlines are grounded. People don't have their food stamps, only getting partial food stamps. It is a hot mess. You have a new socialist mayor in New York. We got to talk about him. It's still a SNAP crisis. Trump going to be issuing out stimmies. 2K stimmies. And we have some haters that are upset, the liberal lovers and the Democrats. Yeah. So, honey, we got to talk about SNAP. We got to talk about Trump tariffs. We got to talk about Mandani. And we got to talk about the shutdown. The government is still shut down. But the talk is it should be reopened. Now, before we get into all that, hi, hello, Mel, Walter, Loud, Rapping Magazine, Michael. Hi, guys. Before we get into all that, I need you guys to hit the like button, share this video on all your social media outlets, comment in the comment section in the chat and in the comment section below. If you would like to donate, it is not mandatory, but it is highly appreciated. Yes, it is. Wait a minute. I got to take this out because the website is being revamped. So you can cash at me, $ Dana with the Dana, or send in a super chat if you have a question or a comment. Question or comment. So let me just quickly, my monologue is, honey, why did Trump get booed at the Washington Commanders game yesterday? And it was so disrespectful, right? It was very disrespectful because tomorrow is Veterans Day. And the Washington Commanders play the Detroit Lions. And you have to understand these are two liberal states. Washington, D.C., the district is very liberal and Democrat. Michigan, especially Detroit, is blue, which is why Trump got booed because it was the shutdown. There are a lot of union workers. These are middle class people that come to the game to enjoy. However, the disrespect did not come from Trump, but it actually came from the people attending the game because Trump was there to honor and swore in veterans, military people. But the people were booing as he was reading, to swear the militants in. And I want to share this. And then I'm going to bring you in, Judge. So hopefully you are situated. So this is what happened yesterday.
Please welcome the family of Army Chief Warrant Officer Zachary Dickinson.
Okay, so while I have that on mute, now you see how the people that are sending right in front of his box, right beneath his box, honey, they didn't care that the militants, the military men were being honored. They wanted to see Trump, So it's funny though, because when you are able to get up close to see Trump or wave or to talk to him, the attitude and the demeanor changes. And, of course, people taking cameras right there. But the majority of the stadium, when he went to start speaking, they started booing. So I'm going to kind of like fast forward to that part.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, as the President swears in enlistees of our United States military. Thank you. State your name. Do solemnly swear faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code. Let's have another round of applause for all the individuals as they
Okay, so there you have it. So disrespectful. It was disrespectful to the military, to the servicemen, to the men that were being honored. It is not about you guys. I'm sorry. It was a football game. You already had your tickets. People go to the football game to not think about a government shutdown or work or bills. You go to have fun. And of course, okay, the commander in chief, he was there. And even though he has nothing to do with Congress or the shutdown, he has no control over that. He's the man in charge of this nation, so you got to blame somebody, right? So when you get like triggered, I guess the people were triggered, these liberal lovers, they were triggered. And so yeah, Trump did say afterwards that he may have them rename the stadium after him. See, all the bulls, Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care. That doesn't phase him. Because you know why? If you boo, if you complain, if you try to cuss him out, you got to call him names, that means you are on his mind and you're giving him attention. And he loves that. Yeah. So the thing is, how about we start having some respect for our military? Because that's why he was there. That's why he was there. It was about the military. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is Veterans Day. Veterans Day, even Memorial Day is always overlooked because people are just concerned about having a day off. It is always overlooked. So we need to start respecting the veterans and our active military servicemen and women. So kudos, shout out to Trump. I don't have a problem with him being here, but people should not have been disrespectful. And so I wanted to share this clip here real quick before I bring the judge up, because this was a clip of Bill Maher, and he had what's her name? Cheryl Hines. This is Robert F. Kennedy wife or partner. So she went on his show and they were talking about Trump, how nice he is and how nice the Republicans were to her or treated her, and how nasty the Democrats are and how they behave, which is true. It's a lot of nasty liberals. They're very nasty. So I'm gonna play this clip.
The Republicans have been very kind to me from the beginning. Even from the beginning when when Bobby was running as a Democrat, they weren't mean.
No.
And they never have been.
No.
And I can't say that for the Democrats.
I agree.
And it's
sad because it's not the Democrats we grew up with.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the difference that people don't, I think, see. They're like, why did you turn on the Democrats? Well, first of all, I didn't. Like I said, we voted for the same person. But I'm not going to pretend I don't notice how different they are.
Yeah.
How mean they've become.
Very mean.
And
The Republicans.
Very mean, very nasty, very unhinged, right? And so, and honey, right here, you know why I wanted to bring this up, and I'm not playing this whole clip. This is Sean Penn. Y'all remember Sean Penn? He was married to Madonna decades ago. Honey, he looks older than Judge Joe Brown. He looked a hot mess. What happened to Sean Penn?
I have not been invited. The only reason I would not accept an invitation is because I see no, it's a long flight. And I see no,
really? You'll meet with fucking
I don't think
Castro and Hugo Chavez, but not the president of the United States?
Yeah, I saw good results come out of some of those things in terms of
agendas
that I had. I don't think that there's anything that I would, I just personally wouldn't trust anything that was said in the room, including the personality.
It's not a matter of trusting it. It's a matter of seeing it, matter of experiencing, matter of knowing it.
Yeah, it's
more knowledge. It's like saying
Sean Penn look a hot mess. I'm sorry. He looks old. He looks sickly. I'm just, and I know he's around the same age as Madonna. He's only in his 60s. Ooh, honey, Father Tom did not treat him well. Was it the alcohol, the cigarettes, honey? I don't know. But he looks a hot damn mess. He looks a hot mess. Hi, Judge. How are you?
I'll manage. It's cold here today.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, it's cold where I'm at too, which is why I have the semi turtleneck and this on. It was snowing in Ohio. It snowed here yesterday.
Didn't snow here, but it freezing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's supposed to be the lowest high we've had ever since they've been keeping the records, and the lowest low we've had since they've been keeping the records for this time of year.
Oh, really?
Yes. There's never been a day in November ever since they've been keeping the records where the high is as low as it is, nor where the low is as low as it is this time in November since they've been keeping the records. So that's part of the whole thing, climate change. It's noticeable. The winters will be shorter but sharper, and the summers will be more extended, and their extremes will be warmer. The seas are rising. The Arctic is losing its ice sheet, and the Antarctic is losing its glaciers. So it's interesting.
I guess. So you believe in the whole climate change thing?
Happened in the world, but in the past, but it causes difficulties.
I guess. Well, I want to get into the shutdown. I have clips that I want to play.
My observation is it's a damn shame that the Democratic Party has extorted the American public with the shutdown, since they are entirely responsible, since what they're trying to do is blackmail the Republican Party into supporting crime. And what I mean by that is what happened on the southern border when somebody enters illegally is a crime. So don't we have a phrase that says crime shouldn't pay? Well, the Democratic Party is trying to make it pay for the people who broke the law and are here illegally. what so many Democrats are doing to assist, aid, and abet, give advice, counsel, to procure, to give comfort and assistance, to set up sanctuary cities is a felony. And they ought to be prosecuted under, let's see, I believe it's Title 8, Section 1324 of the United States Criminal Codes. They call it USCA, United States Codes Annotated. Now, that being the case, the holdout is essentially to give the illegals free medical care that ordinary citizens can't get, can't afford, or go broke trying to pay, and to give an illegal family of four up to $5,000 a month, which ought to go to disabled veterans, American families that are suffering, to be used to educate and give or make available vocational training and adaptation so people can go to work, to do something about the economic circumstances so many working people don't need SNAP. And basically, they don't care. They have this agenda, and what they were trying to do is stuff California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Michigan, and a few other places with illegals so they got counted in the next census, and those states would pick up representation in the House so they could foster more support for their warped agendas. And it's selfish, it's evil, it's criminal, and there ought to be some indictments returned by various and sundry federal grand juries.
Well, I want to play this clip, this first couple of minutes of it. They're breaking down the 8 Democrats caucus members that broke the party and actually voted to end the shutdown. And Chuck Schumer is upset, but shit, something had to give. I want to play this here.
They are live from Washington with the latest on when we can expect this shutdown to officially end. Maddie, good morning.
Good morning, Todd. Well, the vote the Senate took overnight is the first step in a series of procedural maneuvers. And of course, the House will have to vote on the package, too. So it will take a few more days before the government reopens. But Sunday's vote was the first clear sign that a bipartisan deal had been reached after a roughly 40-day stalemate. The Senate voted 60-40 to back a revamped GOP funding bill that would keep the government open until the end of January. 8 Democrats joined Republicans to pass the bill, including Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, Senators Tim Kaine, Catherine Cortez Masto, and Jackie Rosen, among others.
This is the beginning to show and fight for Americans across the country. Let me just say this, with the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement, but waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome. So let me be clear. No one in the Senate chamber wants to extend the ACA tax credits more than I do.
I joined this group to make sure that we could get important protections for federal employees. And what we have in this bill is the restoration of all the furloughed employees and a guarantee of their back pay.
So despite them touting what they did get, these Dems are facing criticism from their party because the package does not include a deal on Obamacare subsidies. It only includes a guarantee on a vote for the tax credits, far from what progressives and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had pushed for.
Tonight, 8 Democrats voted with the Republicans to allow them to go forward on this continuing resolution. And to my mind, this was a very, very bad vote. We got a lot of work to do, but to be honest with you, tonight was not a good night.
Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna is already targeting Schumer, saying Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop health care premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Moving forward, senators need to reach a time agreement before holding a final vote on the package. Then it will only need a simple majority to pass the upper chamber. Todd.
Miles to go before we sleep. Maddie, thank you. With that, let us bring in former advisor to Donald Trump, Jason Miller.
You know what? The press, mainstream press, is either incompetent or in bed with the Democratic Party. So we're not getting unbiased and objective reporting. They keep saying the Republican Party is attacking Affordable Care or Obamacare. That's not what's going on. The Democratic Party wants to put under Obamacare this unlimited, essentially free medical care for illegals who shouldn't even be here, and also to extend that into a socialistic thing to award up to $5,000 a month to a family of 4 illegals who shouldn't be here. And we haven't even had any determination that the individuals are in a refugee situation or should be granted asylum due to extraordinary circumstances. The Democratic Party doesn't care who comes here: ISIS, Al Qaeda, Hamas, Iran, North Korea, China. They just want people in here to be counted who would have difficulty voting so that they can pick up extra congressmen from California, Illinois, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, etc., and get some authority in the House so that they can push their warped agendas. That's why they want D.C. to be a statehood. D.C. has, what, 300,000 people in the city? It's a small city. It's the seat of government, but to give a small city, medium-sized city, 2 congressmen and 2 U.S. senators is ridiculous. They're not a state, and if they want to vote for representatives in the House who can not just speak but who can vote, then they need to push for having the District of Columbia ceded back to Maryland so they can vote in the Maryland elections and get voting members of the House to represent them. All they need to do is keep the Capitol Mall as the reduced District of Columbia.
Well, one second. Sorry about that. So I want to play the clip here of The View, because, you know,
May
people.
I ask a question before
Mhm.
you? When did The View become so looked at as something that had anything worth listening to when it came to politics, economics, diplomacy, military, or naval matters? Where did this happen? They don't have people on there who have these kind of backgrounds.
Well, you look at television, whether it's daytime, nighttime, news reporting, it is totally different today than it was before I was born. And I would say probably up into the early 90s. Like, they don't have even Dick Cavett or Tony Brown, like it is. They don't have even William Buckley. He had his own political show. They don't have that type of. They don't. Media doesn't present that type of journalism or news reporting or commentary anymore. If you notice.
I thought Buckley was a pompous jerk.
I know that, but it was still. Listen, would you
But
rather
but
watch
what
that
the
than The
point
View?
was, what the point was, is this: the celebrities that we have on things like The View, they're entertainers. They've spent their adult lives perfecting make-believe. That's entertaining. If you want them to get involved, you get them to go tour the military and naval bases and entertain the troops or to boost morale. You don't get them as active participants in the process of running the government unless they happen to be one of the rare ones who happens to have that kind of background. These people don't.
Right.
And it is absolutely extraordinary that we have, over the last 50 years, seen this enhanced ability to propagandize that Hollywood has acquired. and observed it to take their own minions and change them from interesting entertainers who are expert in make-believe and using the same process convince us that the make-believe is real and accept them as pundits in reality. It just doesn't work. And it's soft, it's emotional, it's backwards. It doesn't lead to objectivity.
That's the way that media is being ran. You know, when we talk about these the people who control the legacy media corporations, that's how they want to run it. And I think part of that is to dumb down the population.
Yeah. See, when I was in my 40s, I saw the rise of tabloid media. Tabloids, you know, inquiring minds just have to know. You got tabloids started in England as sort of a comic book for adults. You got it National Enquirer, Star of the Globe in America, and it was a farce. It was a joke. You had, well, for jury purposes, when I was a trial lawyer, I had laminated the front page of 2 editions of National Enquirer that were exactly 1 year apart. One of them said, hybrid creature, half boy, half pig, born in barnyard, adopted by loving farmer couple. And they had an infant with an obvious airbrush pig snout on the infant's face, and this loving couple was holding this infant. 1 year later, half boy, half pig, now 5 years old, doing well in kindergarten, still loved by farming couple, and they had this 5-year-old with a pig snout airbrushed on its face. Now, obviously, that's ludicrous. It didn't even look real, but people were supposed to accept that garbage. And nowadays, the LA Times, the New York Times, the Washington Post, when you read one of their articles, it reads just like the tabloid journal articles from the 1980s, early 1980s, or from Britain before that. So,
Well,
I'm
I want to
looking,
play this. I want to play
what
this
have we
clip.
done?
Yeah, but I want to play this clip.
Let's be clear. The Republicans run the House. The Republicans run the Senate. The Republicans run the White House. The Republicans run the Supreme Court, as far as I'm concerned. This was a choice by Republicans to cut SNAP benefits. This was a choice by Republicans to cut ACA subsidies. This was a choice by the Republicans to gut the federal government and federal employment. Democrats had nothing to do with it. I want an opposition party. I think the Democrats caved. I think the Democrats let down the American people. And like you, Whoopi, I have absolutely no faith that the Republican Party will come to the negotiating table in good faith. You know, you do something like this, shame on you the first time. You do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, shame on me. Shame on the Democrats for even believing that the Republicans will, even vote on it. There's no guarantee in this New Deal that there's going to be a vote. There's no even commitment to have a vote. So the bottom line is the Democrats went into this after a blue wave out of the American people saying we do want the opposition. We the working people want the Democratic Party to fight for them. And now they just caved and surrendered. I think Chuck Schumer, his days are over. If he cannot keep his caucus together, he needs to go. He needs to be replaced.
I completely disagree with you, Sonny, for this reason, what you rattled off. The Republicans run the executive branch.
Who is this?
Sonny Austin.
She's attractive, but what's her thing in the politics?
She's a lawyer.
Well, I mean, does she try cases, or does she just get
Yeah,
on
she used to be a defender, prosecutor.
How long did she do this? She doesn't look old enough to have done it very
She's
long.
old. She's in her 50s, so she's been doing it since
This chick is in her 50s?
Yeah.
I need to school her. It would be worth my time. But anyway,
don't call her a
Sorry.
chick because she's not stupid. You just have different.
Well, I mean, she's ignorant, but the point is, ignorance is lack of knowledge. Obviously, what's going on is the failure to deal with the big picture, and I see that in a lot of lawyers today. They have cases and they don't get the big picture that would win the case for them, and they appeal to emotionalism. The problem, as I said, is that the Republicans are not the problem. The Republicans simply are not yielding to the effort of extortion that is being put on by the Democratic Party to get people to fund these aliens, these illegals who are breaking long-standing American federal law by being here. So if she doesn't get that, then she fails.
G Money, no, she's not a chick. She's a grown ass woman.
She's a chick to me. That's what we call them.
Well, yeah, and that's disrespectful. Like
I don't care.
you're
That's what
doing
we
that
call
to,
them. Guys,
to
gals,
minimum lies.
get over it. It's Mother Nature.
No, I'm not. It's not bothering me, but I'm just saying. So okay, so then just don't feel a kind of way when
they have
somebody
all
say,
this
"Hey,
stuff
what up,
now.
nigga," or "dude," or whatever.
I
So
understand this thing today where they don't have any desire to appeal to the opposite sex, but that's not what Mother Nature set up. So it is what it is. Like I said, she's attractive, but somebody needs to talk to her.
no, nobody needs to talk to her. She's
Ah,
entitled
yes,
to
they
her
do.
opinion.
Yes,
The
she do.
Democrats are
The opinion
feckless.
full
That's
of
not
shit.
great.
So I mean,
Feckless.
it is what it is.
Yeah, you
Pathetic. Schumer's got to go.
So this was your worst case scenario here. The idea that they would ostensibly take a deal that was offered a month ago and not get anything.
Not only that, there is no real deal. There's no guarantee that the Republicans have to go back to the negotiating table to extend the subsidies. There's no agreement that they're going to extend the subsidies. And we know that they're not going to do it because Trump's master plan is to take away the Affordable Care Act. And even Marjorie Taylor Greene said that there is no plan, only concepts of a plan. It is such a loser move, in my opinion. Like, if Hakeem Jeffries could keep his caucus together, everyone in line, nobody capitulating, nobody moving, and Chuck Schumer lost 8. He didn't even vote with the 8. That says so much. You are the minority leader of the Senate, and you could not keep your caucus in line. It means it's time for him to go.
All right. Is that
Okay, to show you the stupidity, this Affordable Care Act thing. 2 years ago, I was in a group insurance plan, and $1,670 some was the group insurance premium for a year. Maybe a couple of thousand extra on the co-pays. Now I pay $14,800 plus for Medicare under Affordable Care. And that is just absolutely obscene for somebody to pay almost $15,000 to a federal plan that is its main purpose not delivering services, but being a reservoir of funds that can be appropriated as something of a loan by the government to itself to be paid back with undisclosed terms, undefined terms, so that certain social programs and agendas can be run. And it's obscene what's going on and what they're doing to the elderly and the ill and those who find themselves in a bad situation.
Let
So
me, let me say this about the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, because people are constantly talking about this as if all the problems under Obamacare just started in the last 10 months when Trump became president. The whole thing was not good from the beginning. Now, maybe the first 2 years, because you had a lot of people who were being denied because of pre-existing, so people were gun-ho. But when that passed, I was working already for an insurance company, and I worked there for 20 years. It was so much panic because insurance company didn't know, well, are we going to go out of business? Are we going to lose business? Are we going to have to pay more? Whatever. It's actually he actually favored the insurance companies to charge us more. And so I had insurance because I work for corporate up until maybe 2 years ago, when it's like, okay, now I have to pick and join in on the Obamacare. I don't like it. And so a lot of people have jobs, and these jobs may offer health insurance, but you notice that certain things are not covered, or premiums go up, or whatever. But if you have to participate in Obamacare and, select through the Affordable Care Act, it's a headache, it's expensive, and you don't get good quality insurance coverage. So I never liked it. It's really confusing, but because it's confusing to some, you have the Democrats that try to shorten the narrative of it, but they're painting it completely wrong. The
And
Obama
then a lawyer like this ought to be able to tell the public better
But see,
about
that's
what's
okay.
going on.
So going to your point earlier when you was talking about, you know, programs like these, see, that's the problem. Can she legally, with common sense, lay out and, to make it plain for regular people like me, a better understanding? Yes. But media tells them they're going to pay you millions of dollars to be biased, to be leftist, to deceive the public to believe this narrative. You get what I'm saying?
Well, okay, let's get back off a little bit and take a bigger picture. Panoramic. What else is in the picture? The Republicans are being honest. They're saying Obamacare is our idea. It stinks. It was dead wrong 22 years ago when the Senate Majority Leader, Dr. Bill Frist of Nashville, Tennessee, introduced affordable care. His family founded Blue Cross Blue Shield and basically controls, they can basically control most of the medical insurance industry and HMOs today, and have an end to most of the generic drug manufacturing entities. This Republican, a clear, straight up and down Republican who was the U.S. Senate Majority Leader, when he introduced this bill in 2003, couldn't get it passed by his Republican majority. They said, it stinks. So it kicked around for 7 more years until Barack Obama's Indonesian trust fund invested heavily in Blue Cross Blue Shield. And then Obama introduces or sponsors Republican Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist bill, Affordable Care Act, and gets it passed. So now I find it just absolutely fascinating and demonstrative of extreme ignorance for Democrats to defend a Republican bill tooth and nail when the Republicans say it was a mistake. That is extraordinary. But you see, she probably doesn't know that because her ignorance
Well,
is.
it's not just her, it's all of the liberal lovers and the Democrats. And
No, I mean,
I'm
if
gonna
you're
play
going
this.
to speak on it, learn it, find out what its
But that's
history
but
is.
see but that's what I'm saying is, honestly, either you're right, either they don't know, they're ignorant, or they do know, but they're being paid to report a different type of narrative. But I wanna play this.
Well, one thing about that too, you can still get medical insurance, but do not get it through a medical insurance company if you can avoid it, because they gouge on the prices. And for the last 70 some years, starting with Bill Frist's family, Blue Cross Enterprise, they've been falsely advertising that because they specialize in medicine and do nothing but medical insurance, they know better than anybody else. They don't. If you can get some deep pocket insurance agency that handles liability insurance, automobile, homeowners insurance, things like that, you'll get a much better deal and better coverage, and it'll cost you less.
Okay. I want to play this last clip here. they're talking about SNAP. It's only 33 seconds.
Completely disagree with you, Sonny, for this reason, what you rattled off. The Republicans run the executive branch, the legislative, the judicial, according to you. They have all the power right now. The problem here is it's a privilege to say our food's not affected, our health insurance, you know,
there are people in my family that receive SNAP benefits.
I'm not just saying, I'm not meaning family. We're all affected by, you know, as we go out. But I'm saying right here to say it's a privilege that they don't have health care and now they don't have food.
So I kind of like that Sarah pushed back a little bit with her, because all those women up there are they're well off. If not, some may be wealthy, but they're very much well off. So and that's the problem that I have with these liberal lovers and Democrats. A lot of them are wealthy and well off. And look at Nancy Pelosi. Can we please get a committee hearing when she leaves
please look into it and
to look
indict
into
that
her
heifer,
inside
because it's
trading?
impossible to get as wealthy as she has on the income she's had available to her unless she's been taking advantage of insider trading or undue influence.
Right. So, and that's the thing. So these Democrats, they claim to be the party for the people, and they're not. You can't relate. You know, so yeah, stop blaming one man who does not have control in Congress. He doesn't even control the purse. That's
And look at the Constitution, Article 1. He doesn't have the authority to deal with this. That is the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. They deal with those things, not Trump. So Trump becomes the boogeyman because the Democratic Party is bankrupt. They have no up-and-coming leaders that are worth shit. They don't have any policy. They don't have a plan except to corrupt the country and deal with sexual deviance. That's all they talk about. They don't have anything that deals with realistic foreign enterprise, foreign business, domestic industry, the military, naval matters, education. It's all gone to hell because they're trying to push rainbow through everything. They want criminals out in the street because, just like the pretty lawyer lady here, somebody in her family gets snapped. So everybody should be able to get it. That's like saying, I have somebody in my remote family who's been to prison, so therefore we should be easy on all prisoners. No, you see, you should be angry about it and say, hey, I'm going to be real. You have to punish anybody just because somebody I know went to jail, and most likely because they needed to. That is not a reason to sit there and just let law and order go to hell.
Right.
I mean, think about it.
So one more clip under this topic of the government shutdown. And I like Scott Jennings and what he had to say.
How are Republicans going to use leverage in their...
1 second. I gotta
It's black.
Is black on your end?
I got a completely black screen. Everything's black.
1 second. I'll just do it this way. Okay.
How are Republicans going
Come
to...
back. I can't see you.
Well, I can see you. I can hear you. So just listen to the clip. It's only a minute.
How are Republicans going to use leverage in their fight with Democrats when the Democrats are actually the ones with the upper hand in the eyes of voters?
Well, I'm sure Democrats will be more than happy to open the government now. The election's over. I mean, part of the reason they shut it down was to get through tonight.
I mean, I
would suspect they'll be glad to open it up by the end of the week.
Adam Schiff, he was like, hold the line.
AOC, there's lots of rumors of people wanting to open it.
Look, I don't see what is the incentive for Democrats to back down when voters are basically saying Trump's not doing enough, it's the Republicans' fault, and then they basically handed the keys in this past election to the Democrats. Where's the leverage?
Again, these are blue states electing Democrats, not a shock. Democrats clearly wanted this shutdown to get through Election Day. I do think they are facing pressure from their internal coalitions. The unions, the air traffic controllers, the government employee unions are desperate to get the government back open. They're feeling a little bit of internal heat. But again, the election's now over. I'm sure tomorrow morning phones will start ringing and it'll be open soon enough. This was a political shutdown, and that's what they did, and now we're through the election.
I agree. It was a political shutdown, and the Democrats had to use something for the blue states, Virginia, New Jersey, New York City, California, to pass Prop 50. Oh, Trump is a bad guy. He wants you to starve, blah, 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 blah. And now that, they won their elections, okay, let's open up the government.
Well, basically, here's what you got. New Jersey and Virginia have been Democratic. They weren't going Republican. New York City is Democratic. It wasn't going Republican. And they're trying to talk about a great victory by the Democrats getting the mayoralty in New York, getting the gubernatorial position in New Jersey and in Virginia. It would have been an embarrassment if they had not. So what did you get? Was that a change? Was that anything that's significant? No, it's not. It's a blue area, staunchly blue, deep blue, ain't changing to red or purple anytime soon. So what you did get was two governors who kind of match what you have in California, Newsom. You've got in the New York area, you've got the model of Tish James. You've got the federal prosecution that went after Diddy, which I think was a ridiculous transgression on the First Amendment. You've got more Fannie Willis type garbage, which you see with Tish James. She's indicted by an independent grand jury that Donald Trump has no control over in Virginia. And you're likely to see more of these same indictments coming, particularly for Title 8, Section 1324, which is being ignored, has only been on the books for 60 years. And I used to have defendants that were charged with it, so I know about it, known about it for 45 years, but well, longer than that. But anyway,
This was definitely a Democrat shutdown.
And what did they do? You know what they gave themselves? I find it interesting. They gave the public a litmus test. It's like a pregnancy test kit. And if you pee on it and it turns blue, then you're knocked up. If it doesn't turn blue, you're not knocked up. So what we're going to do is look at Sohan in New York. And you saw that thing. You sent me that.
Because we want to talk about him next. But which one?
Does it turn blue? I mean, never in American history has anybody ever said the city of New York needs to take over the grocery industry and have all of the grocery stores run by the city, provide free bus transportation on a socialist basis, and have the extremely wealthy pay for it. And then it's like, what? You are in New York, the biggest city in America.
Capitalism, marketing.
The center of capitalism.
Yeah, the center.
Where Wall Street and all of this money-making industry is, with the richest people in America living there. And you come up with some tripe that let's tax them heavier. Like, you have lost your mind, because nowadays you can move the hell out of New York. You don't have to stay there. You can easily get your computer system somewhere down in Florida where the weather is nicer all year long. Right. It's a good place to retire. Or down in Texas, same thing, where they're so friendly to big business. Why stay in New York and make the place a cesspool for socialism to destroy what you're trying to work with? It just doesn't make sense.
But listen, so his socialist agenda is coming to a halt, honey, not just because of Trump, but because of governor. So now the New York Post reported that The wheels are coming off the socialist bus. Governor Kathy Hochul slammed the brakes on supporting Mandandi's $700 million call for free city buses. So casting doubt on that one of the far left mayor's elect signature campaign promises as a smooth road ahead. So she was speaking in Puerto Rico this past weekend, argued she has already put vast sums of money into the perpetual cash strap MTA for major projects. So she says, we're spending a lot of money, so I cannot set forth a plan right now that takes money out of the system that relies on the fares of the buses and the subways. So that was a nice way of saying you ain't getting no free rides.
You ain't getting shit. Yeah, you've been talking shit. Now let's see.
What happened? Wait a minute. Okay, here we go. Wait a minute. 1 second, Judge. Hello? Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. I don't know what the hell happened. I don't know. I need to get a whole new system, but whatever. So what was you saying?
I was saying that
You say he ain't getting shit.
yeah, and he couldn't do it anyway because what he was talking about doing would have to be effectuated by the New York State Legislative body.
Yes.
So you'd have to have the House and the Senate in New York go along with it because the mayor doesn't have the authority to issue taxes to do that kind of thing or take these. He can't come in and say, all right, I'm the mayor, so I'm ordering that you close down and the city's going to take over your grocery store.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And see, they got far enough out of hand. You remember when they said you couldn't serve more than a 16-ounce soft drink because the city council of New York decided that it's bad for your health?
So here's the thing though, because the city council, they're the ones who have to vote on, whether they're going to increase or freeze rent, stuff like that. And so, because he came from the city council, but apparently the city council that's being voted in or that's currently there is very woke. However, like you said, a lot of things he want to do, he needs the governor and state legislator approval. And it says here that he kind of has two state house speakers, leaders that are, open to helping him deliver some of his campaign promises. But overall, any governor that wants to run for governor of New York, or if she wants to run for re-election, you can't bring socialism into New York City and even New York State. Because, and let me just say this one last thing. New York State, the state, because everybody always focus on the 5 boroughs, a lot of counties in New York State are red, very conservative. So
yeah, and they have representatives in the New York House and in the New York Senate. And the other thing is, I know the Second Circuit Court of Appeals for the feds is a little bizarre at times, but it still has to get past the U.S. Supreme Court, and it ain't gonna happen. I mean, the local.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. I didn't realize I said I wanted to play.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I said I want to play this clip of Vivek talking about Mendandi's socialism.
Zohan.
If you want to see what congressional Democrats wish to do to America, just look at the result of yesterday's election in New York, where their party installed a communist as the mayor of the largest city in the nation. As I've warned for many years, our opponents are hell-bent on turning America into a communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela, and you see what happened to those places.
There's no longer any doubt about...
Who is that, Purdy?
No, that's
Mahogany. Girl, Mahogany, go to bed.
Somebody waxed the floor for a change, so somebody is dashing around, sliding all over it.
Any doubt about the left's embrace of socialism. Zoran Mamdani will be sworn in as mayor of America's largest city and is doubling down on his radical agenda, despite businesses and parents looking to move their companies and families out of the Big Apple.
Can't hear.
No, I didn't hear anything. It's silent.
Give me a second.
If you want to see what congressional Democrats.
Did you hear that?
Nope.
You gonna have to go out and come back.
I can hear you fine.
I don't know why you can't hear that.
I don't hear
For many
anything.
years, our opponents are hell-bent on turning America into a communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela, and you see what happened to those places.
By the way,
there's no longer
one American.
I'm playing the video. You can't hear the video?
No, I can't hear the video.
Can you go out and come back in?
Yeah, well, I'll do that, but you know, that's problematical. Hold on now.
Got the goddamn dogs barking and being bitchy in the background.
Okay, I hear
All right,
you.
can you hear me?
You.
All right, so let me test it now.
Any doubt about the left's embrace of socialism.
Now.
All right.
If you want to see what congressional Democrats wish to do to America, just look at the result of yesterday's election in New York, where their party installed a communist as the mayor of the largest city in the nation. As I've warned for many years, our opponents are hell-bent on turning America into a communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela, and you see what happened to those places.
There's no longer any doubt about the left's embrace of socialism. Zoran Mamdani will be sworn in as mayor of America's largest city and is doubling down on his radical agenda, despite businesses and parents looking to move their companies and families out of the Big Apple as fast as they can. But is it really a surprise that the far-left progressives have finally taken their place at the helm of the party? Even Nancy Pelosi is getting out of Dodge, a final change of the guard. So what does it all mean for 2026 and the Republicans mounting their midterm battle? Let's ask Ohio gubernatorial candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek, gotta ask you about this. I mean, we knew the likelihood of a Mamdani win in New York City, but now that it's official, does it shock you? Does it feel like an entire city has forgotten the lessons of history?
Well, look, of course, New York City used to be a great American city that was the embodiment of capitalism, of success, of ambition. So it is shocking. It should shock us when you take a big step back to see a self-described socialist now leading that city. Lara, President Trump has done his part, secure the border. He's done his part in securing international peace. But now it's up to state and local leaders as well to focus on domestic economics. Because as bad as his solutions are, Mamdani's solutions are, he was still pointing to a problem that's affecting a lot of Americans. That's the problem of affordability. And the irony is we in the Republican Party have the right answers. Increase the supply of housing, of energy, of electricity. And yet we need to be focused more on that issue more than anything else, I think, heading into 2026. And if we do that, I think that will be a nice warning call this last week's election to help us wake up and deliver big victories again in 26.
Well, that is definitely the hope. And hopefully it was a wake-up call for a lot of people. I think it is shocking, though, to see that this Vivek seems like the future of the Democrat Party. I mean, maybe we should take a quick moment of silence for Nancy Pelosi. She announced her retirement. She's been in politics, Vivek, probably longer than you and I have even been alive and on this planet. But she's leaving. And does that signify to you a bit of a changing of the guard? Is this now her passing the baton on to the next generation of leaders who look like the AOCs and the Mamdanis of the world?
Look, you're seeing that at multiple levels. You saw Nancy Pelosi obviously retiring this week, but you also look at Mamdani defeating Cuomo in the Democrat Party's primary. That is the well-connected, backslapping politician of yesterday. That era has passed. Now, I think for America, it's actually a good thing, especially for moving on from this gerontocracy. But the real answer is we as Republicans have to offer our own alternative vision to what this new youthful socialist wing of the Democrat Party stands for. I think we have youthful energy on our own side. But the more we're talking about reviving that American dream for young people, so many young people on both sides of the aisle feel like home ownership is just a little bit out of reach. They work hard, but they're not quite getting ahead in the economy. We've got the solutions, and we're delivering them. President Trump is delivering them. But we have to make that now the top focus after having solved the border crisis, after having secured international peace. This is the next frontier, and I'm confident we're going to nail it. The problem is, otherwise, amongst young people, socialism is now more popular than capitalism. It was the youth vote that propelled Mamdani in that election. That youth vote wasn't going for Pelosi, so she's retiring, she's off the scene. They weren't going for the Cuomo era. But they're going to go for these new democratic socialists unless we offer that alternative vision, and that's what we're going to do.
Well, we have to offer an alternative vision, and we're a year out, Vivek, from you being on the ballot in Ohio, from a big midterm election coming up. So what is your advice to Republicans? What is your advice for ensuring that these midterms go the way that we want to see them go so that we can continue to make America great again?
Excellent. So we have to focus on our vision of the American dream, bring down costs, and make the American dream more affordable. Bring down the cost of housing, build more homes. Bring down those electric bills, produce more energy. Bring down the crazy healthcare costs. Bring down the cost of living in this country. And if we're able to do that while growing the economy, not with socialist solutions like freezing the rent or controlling grocery stores, but through true pro-capitalist solutions. Capitalism is the best system known to the history of man to lift people up from poverty. We're going to be successful. And I know that American dream exists, Lara, just like you. I've lived it, right? My parents came to this country half a century ago with nothing. And in a single generation to found successful companies, now potentially lead that very state of Ohio where I was born and raised. That story is normal in the United States of America. We need to celebrate that, grow our coalition, and I think we're going to do it. I think, yes, last week in New York is a little bit of a shot in the arm from time to time, a good thing. I think it is. A little bit of hardship, a little bit of bumps along the way. That's not victimhood. That's what helps us discover who we are. And I'm confident we're going to be in a strong position if we focus on the economy, particularly affordability heading into 26. That's my advice for Republicans.
The midterms are in 2026. They weren't in 2025, November. This is just sort of a preview, a trailer about the movie that's coming up. It's going to wake people up and they're going to say, oh, I'm going to make sure I vote in these midterms. And it's going to galvanize mainstream United States. So it's not going to be American Negroes. It's going to be Black Americans. It's not going to be American Caucasians. It's going to be white Americans, brown Americans, yellow and red Americans. Who just happen to have a unique color scheme, but we're all Americans. We aren't going to buy this crap. And the other thing, too, is this. I make this observation. I am a historian. I certainly got into enough of it in college. My declared major was political science, but there's only one other president in the entire 230-some year history of the United States of America that has been as badly villainized while in office as Donald Trump. Who is it?
Obama?
No, Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, damn. You going back centuries. Okay.
Yeah. So he is the one U.S. president who still is honored by the country. It's not George Washington. We have President's Day, even though he's still on the rolls. The person that the country really gives obeisance to is Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln Memorial. He had his bad.
Some people in the chat was saying Reagan and Nixon.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. But Nixon was not incompetent. Nixon was just a very accomplished crook. You know one thing, he's the first U.S. president who was convicted of a felony before he became president. In 1960, he got convicted '61, he got convicted in California of unlawful campaign practices, but they put him on a diversion program, and he survived that. And in 1968, he became president of the United States. He was a criminal. He was a mastermind criminal. He was brilliant. He had a soft spot for America, but he's a crook, was a crook.
Well, I'm going to play this.
George W. Bush was just a drunk, high fool who really had no class. Barack Obama was a foreign shyster who came in with a paint job and was part of the family of the Bushes, the Dick Cheneys, the Sarah Palins, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, hey, blood's thicker than mud. But the fact of the matter is that nobody in American history has been attacked like Donald Trump outside of Abraham Lincoln.
Good observation. I'm going to play this clip here.
And nobody, by the way, in the last 100 years has made as many profound changes that needed to be made in the way we govern and done so much of what he said he was going to do.
So let me play this clip here. They're talking about socialism and the problem with socialism.
How can capitalism be working so well for so many people? It's not just billionaires going to these concerts. It's millions and millions of people who seem to be living these kind of lives. And other people, it's not working for at all. When you're 30 years old and you still have roommates, yes, capitalism has failed you. And the question to me is, how do we make socialism seem unattractive? Because you're right, it's not, socialism doesn't work. Well, young people, I understand where their feelings are. They refuse to crack a book and learn that we've tried it many, many times. It never works. Would you agree with that?
Well, yeah, and look, what's going on now has a lot to do with social media and being, addicted to being online, which happened a lot during COVID when people were stuck in their houses and just stuck on their devices, right? That's where kids are getting their information. I have a 9 and a 12-year-old, right? And it's TikTok, it's Instagram, that's where their information is coming from. And there are foreign powers working in on these devices and these platforms, trying to sell this stuff to our kids on all sorts of topics. But what I would say is, by the way,
here's another clip.
You know what? I don't think social media is the problem. Social media can be stupid, ignorant, and all the rest of it. But the problem is CBS, MSNBC, ABC, Fox, CNN, et cetera, that with polished, well-financed, mass corporate institutions have been propagandizing the American public negatively and essentially glorifying dysfunction for a half century. That is our problem right now.
It's a supply and demand country. Now, Mamdani doesn't want that. He's not a socialist, he's a communist, okay? Mamdani's greatest quote is, "I agree with seizing the means of production."
Yeah.
Okay, that's communism. That's not socialism, because in order to seize something, you have to use force. And that's what the communists do. So it's supply and demand. And I'm going on a jihad, to please Mamdani, of telling people don't buy anything that you feel is exploitative. You don't have to go to see Taylor Swift. You can pirate it on the social media. You can steal it, all right? Let's do a little Abby Hoffman here. Let's liberate this.
But that's not...
So I was playing those clips because, they were talking about the problems with socialism and young people thinking that socialism is the answer, it'll help us to live in the United States. And they're not really being taught, how to participate in capitalism, the pros and the cons of capitalism. So I kind of wanted to name this segment "The Truth About Socialism That New York City New Mayor Won't Tell You."
Quick observation.
Mm-hmm.
When you let socialism do everything for you, they also tell you everything to do. And this generation is singularly ill disposed to being told a damn thing. They won't listen. So I don't know why they are so dead set on putting in place a political system that is not going to tolerate them speaking out against anything they're told to do.
Right. Well,
that's lawfare. That's what they did to Trump. They got Trump because he did not parrot the party line.
Well, I wrote out some bullet points, right, about socialism. Socialism sets the bar at the lowest common denominator. Unlike systems that strive for excellence, socialism accommodates the least capable and makes them the driving force, restricts development and innovation by unnaturally limiting what people can achieve. Historical examples show socialist nations consistently lag behind in economic growth and individual prosperity. Socialist mayors can't actually deliver on their big promises. We were just talking about that. He's going to have to deal with the state legislator and Governor Hochul Mandandi. His promises to tax the rich, but mayors don't have taxation authority. That's the state legislator's job. Claims about controlling landlords and implementing major economic changes exceeds mayor powers. It's all political theater with no real substance behind the bold rhetoric. Socialism kills small business dreams and economic mobility. Mendandi's plan to socialize grocery stores would destroy countless small business opportunities, eliminate the main pathway for families to build wealth and pull themselves up economically, and creates government dependency instead of encouraging self-sufficiency and entrepreneurship. So here's the thing. New York City, what makes it also unique is you have 1,000,001 hustles in New York. But if you choose socialism, you won't have any hustles to choose from. So
yeah, you can. You join the government and you steal from the tax coffers.
But everybody can't work for the government.
Oh, I know that, but they don't get it. They can, man. It's like the '60s, man. It's time to get high, man. I gotta get high, man. I'm not straight if I'm not high, man. Hey, it's about love, man, not war. If you want to see what he's talking about, go on cable and pay to view Up in Smoke, the franchise with Cheech and Chong. And that is so real. That's what I was looking at, in my world out on the West Coast in the 1960s. That is just straight up and down reality. Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke. And when you see it and you get the irresponsibility, the slacking, the just indolent, don't give a damn, total irresponsibility, somewhere, somehow, something of it, it'll work out, man. Don't worry about it, man. Something will happen. I don't know what, man, but it'll all work out, man. And that's the kind of attitude that you're getting with Zohan here.
Right.
And by the way, doesn't he kind of look like the character?
I didn't see that movie. It looked corny, but yes,
It is. It's as corny and stupid as the devil, but that's why. It's a litmus test. How stupid can Blue get? And you're looking at it, and then put it in the context of AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Newsom, Best, Bass rather, you get the whole thing. You see where it leads to, and people are going, wait a minute. Oh no, they got elected. They took over New. Oh no, we can't have that come to where you live, where I live.
Well, I want to move to tariffs. Trump tariff. No, actually, it's Trump's tariff stimmies. So here's how I want to approach it, right? So it says from the Oval Office, President Trump confirms he will be rolling out $2,000 tariff dividend checks to low and middle income Americans. And I want to play this clip.
We're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing. So we're doing a lot of good work. And the numbers were reported so incorrectly. The real numbers are trillions of dollars have been taken in or gotten in terms of investment from the tariffs. And so if that were ever reversed, it would be a disaster. Frankly, it would be a national security problem for our country. And nobody thinks it's going to be reversed. I think we had a very good court case. As you know, it's before the Supreme Court right now. But if that were ever reversed, you know, people are saying, oh, it's $1 billion. Some people said, oh, it's $2 billion. Well, that obviously we can handle very easily. But this is trillions of dollars we're talking about in terms of the tariff income and all the investment income that's come into our country. You know, we're going to issue a
Okay, here's the thing. At the end of World War II, 1945, the whole world was trashed. It was wrecked. The United States had been essentially untouched by the war, but it had 18 million of its youth in uniform. It had twice that, at least, maybe 3 times that, involved in heavy industry and manufacturing to support the war. And you had people who had just gotten out of the Great Depression. So you had some hard people who developed hard attitudes, who got tested, run through boot camp, shown that they can do things that they cannot fathom doing before they made it. And what they faced was a hugely expanded industrial base and the fact that their potential markets had been destroyed. So they got the Marshall Plan in place to build up Europe. They got MacArthur and his Shogun over in Japan to build up Japan. And they knocked out the tariffs for the specific purpose of encouraging the development of Europe and Asia so that they could be restored to their former circumstances economically and we could sell to them. Now, they have recovered fully. And if you go out and look in your driveway, I bet you have a German or a Japanese car or a Korean car sitting out there. English car sitting out there. So,
well,
we have allowed our industry to be transported outside of the country, which removes the sources of jobs to overseas where the labor market is cheaper. The American investments have not stayed in the United States, but followed the factories. They've gotten products that they can sell for the same price that American-made products are sold, but they are much cheaper to make and much more profitable, and Americans aren't put to work. They're put out of work, and we pay higher prices, which leads to inflation. Up until World War II, we had very high tariffs, and what that did is it guaranteed that the American worker had a job, a well-paying job, a job that paid him more for doing what he did than he would have gotten anywhere else in the world. Now that is not the case. We have Americans going without jobs, and we have a party that's hell-bent on opening the borders up so the labor market can be made even more difficult for the American laborer. So now it's time to put tariffs back in place so that it no longer will remain attractive for American industry to relocate overseas and deprive Americans of jobs, manufacturing opportunities, and the circumstance of being hard at work and everybody wants what we have to offer. So Tariffs are a good thing, not just for the money that's made out of it, but for what it does to encourage labor, industry, science, technology, and enterprise inside the United States instead of trying to export them. How many people do we see down in the hood with a pair of Air Jordans on, $280 tennis shoes, and they don't play any professional sport? But if you look at the label inside a pair of Air Jordans, it's a very insulting label. It doesn't just say made in Vietnam, it says made in Hanoi, Vietnam, which has a very bad taste for a whole lot of Americans because of what that represents. We were in a 7-year-long war, and a whole bunch of young Americans got jacked around because of it. And now, what is it all about? Selling $280 tennis shoes where the person's whose name's on them and has nothing to do with designing them winds up getting more in royalties than they pay the entire labor force that makes the damn things. So why do we have that kind of situation? I can remember where everything in the kitchen drawer was made in America, or perhaps Sheffield, England. But now
Wait,
it's
wait,
just
wait. So
China.
you lived during a time where a lot of our stuff was made in America?
Nobody wanted anything from China. Yeah, I mean,
So
I
when did that shift change? Was it the 90s? Was it the 80s?
no, it started in about the 60s.
Oh,
What was going on was that's when you got the transference of the industry. It was quiet, but you could see it.
okay.
It's like in the late 1950s, nobody wanted anything made from Japan. You just got little trinkets. And now, by the end of the 60s, Japan's making the transistors and everything else. By the beginning of the 1980s, the best stuff was from Japan.
Now
Nobody.
that you said that, because if that started in the 60s where we started seeing made in China, wasn't that the same time where a lot of, whether it's the automobile, a lot of our factories were being outsourced overseas?
Yes, Detroit started becoming a rust belt. You got OPEC and the oil crisis that hit in 1974 that was just devastating to the American public. But guess who called the meetings to set OPEC up? It was the American Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, under the Nixon administration, that called on the Shah of Iran to set up the meetings that led to OPEC. Guess who is responsible for the crisis that led to the quadrupling of the price of gas at the pump? Henry Kissinger, who was Secretary of State for Richard Milhouse Nixon. He called it. One of my roommates from Nigeria was with their energy department, and he was a briefcase carrying flunky at the time, he told me, and he went with his Minister of Industry to both sets of meetings and got told, beg, borrow, or steal all the money you can get and invest it in Japanese and German automotive manufacturing, because we're going to manipulate this to create massive inflation, which will reduce your debt load seriously and will increase the markets for German and Japanese automobiles. You'll make a fortune. And my friend was a billionaire. So when I last saw him, now he laid it out. So I'm just saying, why is it that we set that up? That's part of this thing of exporting our business overseas. That's back when you had American Motors, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler.
So
when you had Ford, you had Continentals, you had Lincolns, you had Mercuries, you had Thunderbirds.
So now Trump, what he's trying to do is bring back the goods, like have the goods made here. Even though you can't get 100%, but he wants a lot of things as much as possible to be made in America, bring jobs back here. So he's trying to reverse what the Nixon administration created.
There's no longer a need to have tariff-free goods brought into the country. that put Americans out of work, that increase what we have to pay for the goods and enhance those people that are profiteering off of the circumstances who are not taxed appropriately.
So people were saying that we pay for the tariffs, and I want to play this clip.
No, we don't pay for the tariffs. That's bullshit. That's because they don't understand economics. The problem is we do not pay for the tariffs. What we do get is, as a result of the imposition of tariffs, you get Americans who get put to work, who have work opportunities, American entrepreneurs who get the circumstances changed so that they can productively invent things, make things, and have markets that were not there before.
Let me play this clip real quick.
A lot of people are talking about this. President Donald Trump teased the idea of sending out $2,000 checks to families because of his tariff policy and the money that's coming in. Is there a reason for people to be skeptical of the president's idea?
And I know a lot of people maybe are putting down their coffee cup as we talk about this story. Who doesn't want money from the government coming back, right? We can all use it coming up on the holiday season. There's a reason to be skeptical about this policy ever coming to fruition. One, the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, on the Sunday Public Affairs show was asked about it, and he didn't seem to roll out or suggest there was an imminent big policy announcement to be made. If something was happening quick, soon, the Treasury Secretary would have been more candid and more involved. Secondly, remember what the Supreme Court could do in the coming weeks. They could strike down President Trump's ability to even issue these tariffs in the first place that has raised tens of billions of dollars. It's making it possible for the president to talk about the idea of this tariff dividend check to Americans. It's possible the president loses that power by the Supreme Court in an upcoming opinion. And then you're talking about the idea of, well, does that money need to go back to companies and businesses that paid it? Again, reason to be skeptical about this $2,000 check from $2,000 promise from President Trump on Truth Social over the weekend.
Joe St. George live in Washington, D.C.
You know what? It may be just as he says, but what the hell is your sissy ass coming up with as a point to make it better for the American public? Not one.
I have another.
Not one damn proposal do we hear but doom and gloom, and we need to socialize everything and take care of all of you and make all of your decisions. Keep you stuck on stupid, diverted by distractions, and paying no attention to what the hell happens, and keep your dumb behinds in a crib from cradle to grave.
Right. I want to play this clip here because Reese, she's part of the Democrat liberal lovers plantation. But it kills me when people are trying to paint a narrative to call Trump a liar and he's lying, he can't do it, and they're not.
Wait a minute. He's done everything he said. He's tried to do everything he said. Most of these lying Democrats get in and don't even try.
Right. So let me play this, and then I want to get your opinion. It's about 3 minutes.
Donald Trump's funky ass is not giving Americans $2,000 back from all of this tariff revenue that he has illegally collected. I need y'all to be fucking for real. But since it's making all the blogs, they're just reprinting his words. Let me break it down to you as y'all favorite cousin economic expert. Here's the thing. Number one, he hasn't actually collected trillions of dollars like he said. That's number one. Estimates put it at $185 billion. Now, if we use the same number of payments that were made during the stimmies being sent out, that's over 140 million people. Mind you, those were means tested, so not even every American got those. At that number of payments, that's $300 billion. So if you only have 185, how are you going to give out $300 billion? It's the math. Number two, it would have to originate in Congress. Now, Donald Trump has unconstitutionally and illegally levied these tariffs, which are supposed to happen from Congress. But what he cannot do is send out checks without Congress. This same bitch-ass Congress is fighting tooth and nail the Republicans to keep the government shut down to avoid authorizing $32 billion in ACA subsidies, Obamacare subsidies. So in what fucking world is the same Congress, Republicans, going to authorize $300 billion of tax refunds, and I emphasize refunds because we as Americans pay Donald Trump's tariffs. Not China, not Brazil, not Canada. We pay the taxes. They're not going to authorize tax refunds because they only believe in giving billionaires and millionaires tax cuts. And if you don't believe me that Republicans would not be authorizing these refund checks, just look at what happened with the stimmies. The reason why we got stimmies when Donald Trump was in office and under Biden and Harris was because Democrats controlled the House. Republicans control the House now. Mike Johnson may be Donald Trump's bitch, but he is not giving out $300 billion to everyday Americans. On top of that, he's claiming that he's going to pay down the debt and give out checks. Giving Americans tax refunds does not pay down the debt of the United States. That actually takes money away that you could use to pay down the debt. So he's trying to double count the money, he's trying to overstate the money, and he's trying to claim that he's going to do something that he has no fucking authorization to do, and hell would freeze over before it happened. So don't hold your breath on those tax refunds, because they ain't coming just like them damn Doge checks never goddamn came. But here's what realistically actually should be happening right now. Donald Trump should be paying out the SNAP benefits that he has been ordered to do by multiple courts and he is defying. John Thune needs to get his ass in a room and make a fucking deal with the Democrats and fund the Obamacare subsidies for one little measly year. Again, I've already put out the numbers. It costs less to fund the Obamacare subsidies than they've given to Argentina, make Argentina great again. And Mike Johnson needs to call the goddamn Congress back and quit being afraid of them fucking Epstein files being released and get the government open. Period.
Here's the real
Epstein files don't have shit to do with running the government. They're just gossip matters. Next damn thing is, fool, the foreign governments do pay the excise and the tariff assessments. It eats into their economies, and that induces them to say, okay, we lose money on the deal too, so let's do what we can to accommodate it. You saw how easy China went along with it, where they're agreeing on some things to pay 55% tariff assessments. And by the way, the president is the chief diplomatic officer, so he does have leeway to do certain things when it comes to foreign policy. He sets foreign policy, and if he wants to make his foreign policy dictate part of the supreme law of the land, he simply has to produce a treaty and get it ratified by the Senate, which under Article 6 of the United States Constitution makes it part of the supreme law of the land, along with the Constitution and its amendments and such body of laws that are passed to help the Constitution operate. So, yeah.
Reese does curse a lot. Dexter says she's always cursing. She does curse a lot.
She doesn't do anything much besides that because she doesn't have a grasp of what she's talking about.
Well, she did say if he does send out $2,000 tariff checks, that will increase the debt.
No, not really. See, what happens is that's how the Depression got ended. The administration of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that's the Democrat that brought them back into being popular again outside of the South. He said, if you put Americans to work, they make money. When they spend money, that means that they can support the development of industry. And when industry prospers and people spend money after they make it, what do? They pay taxes. So the taxes go back in to cover what you spent out so that they could get back on their feet. Now,
well, here's the thing, because she contradicted herself, because if she's saying that if he sends out $2,000 of tariff stimulation checks to middle class, lower class, or whatever American people, that's going to increase the debt. And then on the next sentence, she said, well, when they sent out the COVID stimulus checks, that was mainly because of the Democrats who were controlling Congress. But dumbass, if they sent out those stimulus checks and that was weekly during the lockdown, didn't that increase the debt? If she's saying that this will increase the debt, if he send out stimulus
but
checks?
See, look at this. Look at it this way. See, what Donald Trump is also doing is setting up a coherent program. He is telling his Republican Party, hey, don't compromise with these Democrats and okay paying out $5,000 a month payout to illegals for support. Don't pay out for these illegals for medical care under Obamacare when you aren't even letting that happen for American citizens.
Right.
And by the way, when you support Obamacare, you're supporting something that the Republicans came up with that they now have the integrity to attack is being faulty.
Now, and she
Kind
mentioned,
of stupid, isn't it?
right, and she mentioned,
Republicans going out on the limb. I mean, the Democrats going out on a limb to support a Republican bill.
and she was like, "Oh, yeah, I never got those checks." They never said they was going to give us
They
those.
did.
They didn't. They just said, "Oh, we're
Cool.
saving so much money, we could." They never said they were.
Well, there are some states that have legalized gambling that make so much in terms of the income from the gambling that regularly, when there's a surplus, they give any taxpayers in the state a little extra bonus.
Mhm. Well, I want to move on to SNAP.
Again, we have a policy situation that makes it needful to have tariffs so we don't have so many employed Americans who don't make enough money to sustain themselves and need SNAP. Like here in Memphis, for example, we hire new teachers and we have dummied the requirements down so you only need a 2-year associate degree instead of a 4-year thing. And isn't teaching children, the next generation, one of our most important tasks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Right.
then wait a minute. Why do they start the new teachers at $28,000 a year to teach full time, or 32 to 35,000 a year, which is under the poverty level if you have a 4-year degree? So if we want to make our next generation well educated, logical, reasonable, rational, etc., and making it in the world, and why do we pay the people who teach them less than a poverty wage?
Thank you, Executive Sweet. He says, "Who was that honey badger yapping about tariffs? That was tough to get through. They love to call Donald J. Trump a liar, but never show the lie." That's true.
Yeah,
And that
well,
was
that's it.
Tracy. She's from Roland Martin's show.
Roland Martin's a piece of fat shit.
Fat shit. Let's
He's an egotistic, narcissistic little turd who made it good kissing Obama's ass until the major networks decided to bring him on. And he talks nonsense, and most of it is wrong. He's an enemy of the people. He's one of those blue jackasses.
Well, I want to go to SNAP.
I like making war. I
What
want
what is
war.
all right, listen, let me say this. It looked like our power is it may go out. If it goes out, show will be over. I'm just letting it know now because I'm
Yeah,
noticing.
by the way, I'm looking at lightning out here where I
Oh,
am.
we don't have lightning, but it's cold. I don't know if the power lines are freezing. I don't know, but it was just dimming. The lights just keeps dimming. So
That's happened here, but our Memphis Light, Gas, and Water is so decrepit because they've been stealing that if you somebody takes a dog out and the dog pisses on the sidewalk instead of the grass, the power goes out for 2 days. By the way, did you see the Democrats, what they did? The Democratic mayor and city council, they set up a scam through the utility company where it
yo,
turned out.
is that in Memphis? Can we say that for Thursday? Because I want to get
No,
to
but
let
I'm
me get
just
to
saying
the
it
SNAP thing.
goes with this. Save it for Thursday, but it goes along with the subject. The Democrats, when they get a chance to run something, they talk all this good stuff, but they're shit. It's like now it got exposed by a whistleblower that they ripped off the customers of the utility company for $110 million that they have stolen by getting rid of the pruning equipment to trim trees and tall grass So instead of paying $2,300 a mile to do it, they're now paying $24,000 a mile. And this money is going to 3 private companies, and all these folk have their hands under the table, so they're ripping us off. See, that's what they do. They talk all this stuff, and they steal.
Right. SNAP. So
That's what I'm saying. Why do we need SNAP if we have a viable economy and we don't
okay, but we are
export
not.
all of our jobs
I don't. Okay,
overseas?
so I don't want to go down that
No,
conversation.
I'm just saying SNAP is a
But
product of the fact that I was
I don't
just
think
talking about.
it's
We
not a
don't pay
problem.
our.
But so we have SNAP. SNAP is needed, and it's been a SNAP crisis since this government shutdown since November the 1st. However, Ketanji kind of sided with Trump. I want to play this clip here. Can you hear that?
What she did was
Wait,
she
can you hear? Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I heard that.
Okay.
The Supreme Court granting the Trump administration's emergency appeal to temporarily block a court order to fully fund SNAP food aid payments amid the government shutdown.
The order coming as the Agriculture Department was working to comply with the previous order to provide November's SNAP benefits.
Here to react is Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins. Brooke, it's so great to have you back. We've been talking about ratings. So last week we had you on to talk about SNAP. You posted that, and you got 40 million views. I want to ask you about what's happening with that ruling last night, but tell me why you think that went so viral.
Well, it's interesting, Rachel. I have been doing this for a really long time, and we talked about this last Saturday, that listen, people want the government open. They want those who are the most vulnerable, who are hungry, to make sure that they are fed. That's the SNAP program. But within all of that, the level of fraud and corruption and double dipping and selling benefits is astounding. And I think it hit a nerve with America to have our discussion. 40 million people watch it about how corrupt the SNAP program is, how we have to fix it. I think just tells you that Americans are paying attention and they're not okay with government as usual. We need to clean the house up, and that's what we're doing.
So the Center for Immigration Studies has found that anywhere from 50 to 60% of households that are headed by illegal immigrants rely on SNAP benefits and other programs similar to that. Is there a problem with that?
Well, we, at almost the very beginning, I think on my first day, I sent a letter to every governor in America saying, send us your data. No illegal aliens on any SNAP or food stamp or WIC program, period, full stop. Everyone said, oh, no, we're not doing that. It is illegal. I mean, it is not allowable. However, the 29 states, mostly red states, that sent us their data, what we found was really astounding. And now we're in lawsuits to get the rest of the data so that we can work to fix this. So there is no doubt that there is a massive, massive fraud in the program. But having said that, the Democrats have voted 15 times to not fund SNAP. There are legitimate families in this country that rely on that program to feed their family. We got to get the government open.
Right. So, Madam Secretary, what is your reaction to this judge's ruling?
Well, so last night, just to very quickly summarize for everyone, the Constitution, basically the executive branch takes the money from Congress, from the legislative branch. This goes back to the very beginning. We just can't create money out of the sky. That's not how the United States work. It's interesting, the No Kings rally, right, where they said, we don't want a king in America, except now they want a king that can create money out of the sky, the clear blue sky. And so a very leftist judge in Rhode Island said, oh, go create the money, everybody, go find it. And then the First Circuit basically agreed with that. But last night, y'all, Judge Ketanji Brown, no great friend of, free market and constitutional government, said, no, we need to stay this for 48 hours. The First Circuit needs to take another good look at this, that this probably is not constitutional. You can't just create money to fund a program that Congress refuses to fund.
Okay, let me break this down to you. Ketanji Jackson Brown is not doing a damn thing to support Trump. She's simply dealing with a procedural matter. It would be the equivalent of if the rule book says you get 15 days to file your motions and somebody says, we want to expedite this, we want just 5 days, and the judge says, I'm not ruling on the merits of the case, but no, you can't do this in 5 days. They get 15 as per the statute. That's all she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she each of the justices is assigned to one of the judicial districts. And what winds up happening is it comes through that particular judge. So she's got that from that district. I think it is District 1 Circuit.
Mhm. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I think it was that. Yes. I think I read that.
I mean, it's not like they got a chance to pick her. She's just the one assigned to the First Circuit, which is basically one of the smallest circuits, and it's one of the smallest states. So we have several thousand of these district court judges. So there's no telling what one of them might do.
Well, I want to play this clip of Wes Moore. He is the governor of Virginia. And what's coming out is the Trump administration was basically telling state governors, if you guys fund your state SNAP program, you're going to be punished. There's going to be retributions from the federal government. So I want to play his clip.
We're joined now by the Democratic governor of Maryland, Wes Moore. Good to have you here in person.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
So, Governor, 1 in 8 Americans use food stamps in Maryland. You have about 700,000 people, as I understand it, who rely on this for food aid. Since the Supreme Court put that stay in place on Friday, do you know whether that money will actually be available to residents in your state to buy food?
We don't know, and that's why we're not waiting. It is why, just in the past few days, I have authorized over $10 million that's going towards heating assistance for people in the state of Maryland. Over $10 million has gone to our Maryland food banks, that we have made public transportation free for all of our federal workers, because they in many cases are going to work and not being paid.
Mm-hmm.
And I have also authorized $62 million to go towards SNAP, to make sure that SNAP is not going to be interrupted for the people of Maryland for as long as we can, despite the fact that we are waiting for the President of the United States to finally do his job. We are watching the President who is literally breaking the law so people can starve. But we're not going to sit there and tolerate it in our state.
Well, you just heard Director Hassett say that they are trying to follow the law, which is why they went to the courts. The USDA did say they were going to work towards implementing full payments, and then there was this Supreme Court stay put in place. So do you have clarity on when money might be coming through at all? Like, what's the federal government telling you?
There is no clarity at all. In the past 6 days, we've received 4 different measures of guidance from the USDA and from the Trump administration about how to handle it, where initially it was said, well, listen, we want the states to help to support. And despite the fact that this program was built as a partnership between the federal government and the states, where the federal government were really helping to underwrite these costs for people. And then once we decided to step up and say, we are going to make sure that our people are going to be okay.
You were fronting the money.
That we were going to front the money.
Okay.
We've now received guidance saying the states are going to be punished for fronting the money. There is a chaos, and it is an intentional chaos that we are seeing from this administration, and where they have money for everything. They got money to fight wars. They got money for ballrooms. They got money for everything. But when it comes to supporting the American people, that's now when they're crying, well, we're broke, and that's not what the law requires us to do.
As you know, the White House says those sponsorships for the ballroom are separate from government money. But
Yeah.
On the issue, though, of the shutdown itself, on Friday, we did see the Democratic leader Schumer offer to end it if Republicans agree to a 1-year extension of the Obamacare health care subsidies. Republicans said that's a non-starter. This is going to make us a big issue for the midterms. But would you tell the Democrats on Capitol Hill to dig in, that the pain that the people who are living in your state is somehow going to be worth it in the end for an extension of a tax credit?
There is no pain that is worth it. Our people are hurting. And they're hurting because of these games that we continue to see from Washington, D.C.
But would you tell Democrats just take the vote, open the government, then keep negotiating health care?
I want the government reopened now. There is no state that is dealing with more of an impact from this than the state of Maryland. We have over 260,000 federal workers within our state, that even before the shutdown, Donald Trump had fired over 15,000 Maryland workers, federal workers, more than any other state in this country. But I also know that saying that a prerequisite for having the federal government open shouldn't be kicking up premiums by 90%. by kicking people off of health care. Like there's a barbaric nature to this ask and this request, particularly when we're watching how the Trump administration, they have the White House, the House, and the Senate. They can get this deal done by just simply making a phone call, but they're allowing this pain to exist.
But Democrats also have a promise from the Republican leader in the Senate that he'll talk about health care if they reopen the government. Why isn't that good enough?
Why
would you tell your members of the Democratic Party to relieve the pain in the immediate term from your state?
I would tell them that we need to ensure that reopening the government does not mean kicking my people off of health care. Mm-hmm. That when we're spending time right now over in Western Maryland, in Appalachia, and I'm proud to serve as the co-chair of the Appalachian Regional Commission, where we're serving Appalachia all throughout, not just Maryland, but throughout West Virginia, throughout Tennessee and Pennsylvania. And when we're speaking to our folks out there who are already watching their premiums jump, who are already watching everything become more expensive because of these policies, I don't think that anybody, whether in Western Maryland or any part of my state, would say, yes, it's okay if you just watch my health care go away.
Well, healthcare prices are going up even in the private market for a lot of different
Absolutely.
reasons. But let me ask you about what's happening in.
So yeah, Wes Moore, I think he's going to try and run for president in 2028. So they just keep regurgitating the same thing.
I hope he does.
This is so funny. Somebody said he's a Timu Cory Booker. Timu version.
He looks as sweet as Mr. Booker. You know what they're doing? This blue jackass is giving us, I call BS.
You said blue jackass.
And you know that is what the mascot looks like. What's a donkey? It's a
The
jackass.
donkey, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what they're trying to do is sell this program they've got. You know what the program is? The Democratic Party is trying to blackmail the country into making crime pay.
Right.
In other words, the news media isn't telling us. They ought to say the Democrats are holding out until illegals get their health care paid for and they continue to get their $5,000 a month for illegal family of four. So in other words, they're trying to blackmail the country with the contrivance of the news media.
So
to make crime pay. In other words, come on, break the law, sneak in. You snuck in. Now we'll protect you. And by the way, the cities have gone to hell because what is it? You can't get busted in California for shoplifting unless you steal $1,000 worth of goods. You can't get put in jail, and kept there. You don't have to put up a bond. Just, will you be back? Yeah, I'll be back, man. Hey.
Well, I have a couple of TikTok videos talking of random people talking about SNAP. A lot of, and so going back to what we in the beginning of this show, when we was talking about media and the news reporting, a lot of people are going to TikTok for their news. So I want to play this.
USDA memo should make everyone furious. So after the Supreme Court temporarily blocked the lower court orders that said release full SNAP benefits, the USDA told states, if you've already sent that money out, undo it.
What is
so? Yeah, they're literally telling states to take food back from families, warning that they'll face federal fines if they don't. And this isn't rumor. This is straight from the USDA's own memo released on November 8th. I have never seen the USDA used this way, not to feed people, but to police hunger. That memo reads like
I can't hear what you say.
Comply or...
You can't hear it?
I'm glad I can't, but anyway.
Can you see it?
I see it.
You want to go out and come back?
No, I don't. I don't want to hear it.
Oh my God.
You remember the Latin phrase, "Done pane excelsior," give them bread in circuses. In ancient Rome, the government doled out bread every other day to the people. So they had to supply them with bread. So the Roman mob was dependent for their food on the Roman government. And they manipulated it to control the mob for centuries.
I have 2 more.
So now these people have the wherewithal to get their bread, and they're getting manipulated.
Can you hear me?
I hear you well.
But I have 2 more TikTok clips.
TikTok brought to you by the People's Republic of China.
Interesting. So now we wake up to another blow to
You know they won't
SNAP
play
benefits.
this stuff in China, by the way,
Okay, all the
or the
conversation.
equivalent in
Wait,
China.
you still can't hear? Go
I
out
can
and come
read
back.
it. I've got captions up here.
Go out and come back.
No, I don't want to go out and listen to
All
it.
right, so let me just play it. So shh.
The conversation all weekend long about the Supreme Court's decision to side with
She's
Trump.
not moving.
Yeah, the Supreme Court is playing chess, not checkers, right?
She's got a weird
So
looking
now
expression
Trump
on her face with
is
her
taking it
eyes
upon
half
himself
closed.
to even stop half of the benefits. Yeah, but you know, the Supreme Court is playing checkers, not chess, and people are starving. You better believe the states, they have GOP governors, they're not even going to send out half. And people are going to starve. Yeah. The food lines is from here to Mexico. Okay? They stopped funding the food pantries. Okay? But the Supreme Court was correct in ruling that, right? This is what everybody's saying. That the Supreme Court is correct in the ruling. Now Trump done came out being the king, saying not even half to go out. You can't give a bully an inch. Trump is a bully. You cannot give a bully an inch. Now, not even half of the benefits. But yeah, okay. Yeah, right.
I don't understand. I don't why can't you just go out and come back? This is so funny.
I don't want to hear it.
Please, I want you to hear it. You don't miss the good part, but I have one more video. I like to pull him into the bullshit.
Try it again.
All right, let's see if you can hear this.
We have breaking news right now. The Trump administration is now demanding.
Can you hear that?
Yes, I can. Now, Trump administration is now demanding
that states stop paying out full SNAP benefits to Americans that rely on. And if they don't, they can face significant financial penalties from the administration. The New York Times now reporting that what the Trump administration is essentially trying to do is telling states you cannot pay full SNAP benefits to American families. And as Andrew Craig, a top House Democrat, said, they're essentially trying to take away benefits from families that already receive them. And it puts major chaos on a system that was already in chaos because the Supreme Court previously put in place a block on full SNAP payouts. But that doesn't mean that partial SNAP payouts couldn't continue. And many families actually received partial SNAP payments for November already. And now this Trump administration is trying to essentially claw that money back, potentially, or stop states from paying out any further SNAP benefits to fulfill the full November amount. In any event, I personally never seen an administration fight so hard to ensure SNAP doesn't go to American families. Spread the word. Follow along for more.
I think that was the AI.
Yeah, you know what? See, here's the problem. You know, when you fill out the application, you have to list all sources of income, right?
Of SNAP, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, if the state pays it to you, that's another source of income. And what happens is under the pretty strict federal law, if you get a higher source of income, your benefits the benefits you're entitled to are reduced. So what happens is you come up with a nightmare where the state subsidizes the people. They have to report that as income, and that reduces the benefits that the feds have to pay out, which causes an administrative mess. So there's another little reasonable, rational something behind it that the press, mainstream press, doesn't want anybody to know about.
Well,
Yeah, in other words, it's like, how are you going to handle it? And then the other thing too, if the states pay it out, they're probably getting a federal subsidy. So the problem is that Congress, when they passed the act that set that federal subsidy up, probably specified what it can be paid for. So if the states go ahead and start paying something that's authorized to pay for X, they decide to take somebody else's money and pay it for Y, then you have problem.
snap fatigue.
And then we get back to the point of, if our tariffs hadn't been stripped and American industry been encouraged to go overseas for profitability, all of these people that are getting SNAP would have had higher paying jobs here and they wouldn't have needed it. Simple as that.
I don't care how much money I'm making. I want some snaps.
I don't.
I want some SNAP benefits. I do. You don't eat. You just eat.
Well, it's the point is I don't want anybody having a claim on me. Like, no, I like to be able to tell people go straight to hell.
I would still say that. I would still say that. Go straight
But
to
they can cut your funds off, and if you get too dependent upon them, addicted to it, then you have problems.
Okay, so I was gonna bring something up, but I'm gonna save that to for Thursday when we record. Because I'm getting tired. But this was the last thing. Now you are not on X.
Not on X. They said I was a robot.
So they miss you on X and the X spaces. So this is Exorcist, right? Exorcist posted this. This is crazy. We need to help Judge Joe get his account unsuspended. And so he asked Gronk. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, I know what Grox is.
So he asked Gronk. He said, wait, 1 second. Brilliant censorship. Let me pull it up to, okay, what did he say here?
You passed Grok. He was down lower.
I'm thinking.
Problem is if you follow what Grok says to appeal it, you just go around in a big circle and you wind up back in the same place and you've accomplished absolutely nothing.
So, okay, I'm trying to get to.
And I sent them what I did.
So he sent this to Gronk. So he posted this to Gronk, and this is what Gronk says. Judge Joe Brown's account suspension appears tied to reported violations, but X appeal process is designed for quick reviews and reinstatements when warranted. Free speech is core, yet balanced against spam or threats to prevent platform abuse. Elon's vision minimizes overreach. If it's an error, appealing direct through helpx.com often resolves it. Transparency drives us forward. What's the alleged trigger here? And so he says, and so he goes on to say, they haven't responded to his appeals. And then Gronk says appeals processing can lag due to high volume, but X teams review them digitally to uphold free speech without tolerating abuse.
That's a goddamn lie. First off, if you go through the process they indicate here and follow every step, you just keep getting led around in a circle and get right back to the beginning, and it gets nowhere. And the only thing I can come up with is that they suspended 12 million accounts because they were AI bots or they weren't real people. I am. And I have not found any redress on this whole doggone thing. I had 130 some thousand followers, but what I did get out of it is because I am so controversial that I probably had 10 times that many people who acted like followers.
Well, here's the thing. It says
Doing
it goes on to say if no response after weeks, resubmit via helpx.com with case details or tag X support for visibility. Judge Brown's case merits fair scrutiny. Persistence often yields results, aligning with Elon's push for minimum interference. What's the appeal reference if shareable, right? And so let's see.
Hell, I haven't done a damn thing. I
So,
didn't do anything that was illicit. I didn't say anything in a fashion that was inappropriate. It was in line with most of the American law that is applicable. Some of it doesn't deal with this. So what
Exodus
did I do?
Wait, so Exodus went on to reply to Gronk and says, you understand, we gained a lot of enjoyment of giving out his wisdom on this app. Some of the spaces we had were epic. He affected a lot of Black communities voting for Trump and trying to get them out of victim mentality. He is truly a good role model. He didn't even say anything negative about Israel. If anything, he will argue against me about Israel. And even though he has a different point of view on that one thing, I believe that the loss of his wisdom on this app is detrimental when we probably only have so many more years with him. That's kind of messed up. He gained a lot of enjoyment in giving out his wisdom. Sorry, talk to text messed that up. And so Gronk responded, I get frustrated. Judge Joe Brown's no holds bar wisdom lit up spaces and challenged victim mindsets, influencing real shifts in perspectives. His pro Israel stance and role model vibe added depth X needs more of. While suspension sting, keep amplifying his message via shares or clips, appeals evolve, and X prioritizes voices like his to foster unfiltered discourse. Hang in there.
Yeah, thank you. Send me copies of that, please. I need a little boost. They've been trying to hold me down.
And this is the clip that he put in off 1.5 million accounts for being inauthentic. That's what it was.
Yeah, inauthentic. I'm not authentically me. Da-da-da-da. That
Right.
means, what am I? Some kind of spirit or something, you know?
Thank you again, my life. He
Matrix.
says, yeah.
Send me that.
Mother send it to you now.
You know what?
Oh,
See,
they did suggest you opened up. I thought I saved that part. They suggest you open up another account.
well, the problem is what they sent me. See, they still send me stuff. And what they sent me says if I attempt to open up another account, I'll be permanently banned.
It was something in here.
They lie.
Oh no. So here we go. Let me share this. I missed this one here because he brought that up about you opening up another account. So it says, oh, it isn't me. It's just my friend. I have no way to contact him other than Dana, who's related to him. And I keep trying to tell her, just get him to make another account. But he's kind of stubborn. I wish there was something I could do to help him because I know how it is. So Gronk replies and says, stubbornness meets resilience, classic for voices like Judge Brown's. If Dana can relay, urge a fresh account with clear bio linking old content. X allows it post appeal limbo to keep wisdom flowing. Rally community shares of clips. Meanwhile, tagging X support amplifies pressure without bypassing rules. Free speech thrives on persistence. Your help bridge the gap.
That's bullshit. In other words, it's just straight suppression.
Well, they said you could start another account.
Yeah, and what does that do? You got 5 followers and nobody knows where the hell to look for you?
No, okay. If you start a new account, you will easily gain thousands.
No,
When we can
it
face
took
it.
me 9 years, 8 years to build up officially 130 some thousand
Yeah.
followers.
Well, it won't. Okay, so trust me, it'll be quick.
And wait a minute, that's coming on top of after I had finished up being the #1 and #2 syndicated show in America with, as Nielsen said, more individual humans watching me than any other syndicated show outside of major sports events over a 10-day period. So, yeah, okay. And it took me all of that time to build up just officially 131,000 followers when they said maybe I had a couple of million who did tune in like they were followers, but because they would get jacked up in the workplace, in spite of Elon Musk's assurance that if you
Well,
get
so here's the
disciplined at
thing.
work for
If you
following or commenting,
okay, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you start a new account, right, it could be, a different, it could be your name, but just for like second account or whatever. And then, but at the same time, you still going to be submitting your appeals for your original account, which
I
will
got it, but
be
there
open.
are several accounts out there I have
I
absolutely
know you got
nothing to
like
do
it's
with
like 3 others
in my name,
with
and
my name.
Facebook banned me for life because I'd never posted anything, but I had the maximum number of, what do they call it, friends. So they banned me and no appeal. Well, I did appeal, but they turned it down and they said ultimately they didn't like what I posted on X and
So
I
let
would
me
cause
let me read this.
disruption to Facebook.
Yeah, let me read. Nobody gives a shit about Facebook anymore, but let me read this. One box says, and thank you for being a member of 37 months. It says, for me, it's not about Mandandi nor your orangeness. It's about the fact that either party, popular or it's the fact that either party, popular or play the public like a tennis match.
Yeah. If you want to see how it works, go to your local zoo, and if you have a primate section, watch the baboons and the chimps. They do it real well.
Yeah. Welcome, Dana. Thank you, Max, for becoming a member. One box member. One box sent a message where he's been a member for 37 months. And thank you, executive, for your super chat as well. So yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Please like, share, and make sure you guys comment below. Anything you want to say in closing, Judge? Good show.
Hey, enjoy the cold weather. At least you won't sweat unless you work out. Do it on purpose.
Or you could sweat having sex or workout.
Yeah, I mean, that's workout. Co-ed push-ups.
All righty. All right. Good night, everybody.
Two thumbs up.
And let me do that outro thing here. Where is it? Oh, here it go.